Well, today was a late video today. Late. I was very busy. So I didn't have my usual early videos today. But we are here now, and that's all that matters. I want to kind of go over a couple things. I understand we don't have football this weekend. I know it sucks, but at the end of the day, I know in the back of my mind we're getting healthy. We're getting some guys back, which is good. And definitely some things to talk about regarding the defense, regarding a couple players to definitely talk about here. And let's get into it all.
We better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what's going on? Sorry, I have no control of what I do here. I'm all over the place. I'm touching the wrong buttons. I don't know what I'm doing. But here we go. So definitely, no football this weekend. We have another week. Got a lot of things to look forward to. The Eagles are 8-1 right now. And a lot in question here regarding some of the players, how they're used, and to talk about injuries. And I think one of the biggest, returns that are coming, this next week, at least to practice, is going to be Bradley Roby. That is sorely missed in the secondary. And he hasn't really played too long with the Eagles at all. What, a couple games, not even that. I thought they really started to settle him down in the nickel spot in the second half of that Rams game. Okay. You have McPherson out. You got Avonte Maddox out. Avonte Maddox being a top 5 nickel corner in the league, one of the most underrated players that just can't stay healthy. And there's actually, from what I've been hearing so far about this nickel spot with Avonte Maddox, there is actually a chance that Maddox could return. Now, this injury, obviously I forgot what it was. The upper body injury that he had. Okay. He should be back. If the Eagles can make it, and this is going to be very late. Okay. If the Eagles can make it to the NFC Championship game, there is a good chance that Avonte Maddox could be back in this secondary. I know it's like, but why? What's the point? Then putting a brand new guy in the secondary right before a game before a Super Bowl or right for one of the most important games, and we have to make sure that he plays well in that one game that he's in. Then I totally understand that. But I'm telling you right now, like, what we've been doing when Bradley Roby has been out, like, we've been putting Kevin Byard in the slot at times. Like, we have been literally putting anybody at that spot, using Sidney Brown for dime package, using Eli Ricks on man-to-man coverage when they do that. They've been literally swapping and just going back and forth with every player to get the best matchup possible. Okay, we know Desai needs to, like, kind of revamp this secondary a little bit and what they have to do and stop setting these guys up to fail, because sitting back the whole game is not, we got to be a little physical. I'm not saying they can't sit back, sometimes, but they've got to do what these guys are paid to do, especially your high-paid guys like Bradbury and Slay. That Bradbury looks like he's 36, 37 years old right now playing football. And Slay, I think Slay really opened his mouth at the end of that Cowboys game and was like, dude, I'm covering 88. I'm covering CeeDee Lamb if he goes in the slot. I don't care what anybody says. That's what I'm doing. And I'm glad he spoke up and said that last week. I was very happy about it. So Roby coming back should really start to calm down this secondary a little bit, and we should be able to keep Byard at safety, not move him around too much, and let him do his thing, since he hasn't had much time here as is right now. And see what they're doing to when Nakobe Dean is not playing, and if they want to move Nolan Smith, at multiple positions, they want to move him as a linebacker or keep him as a defensive end or something. Like, there's a lot of different things they could do. If the next 4 or 5 games where you got to face San Fran, you got to face the Bills, you got to face KC, you got to face the Cowboys, then really after that, you get through like those 5 games, and then really you get into the Giants, Arizona Giants, you get to 4-1, you look pretty damn good. I think the Eagles are in a really good position right now to do a lot of damage in a good way and get that number 1 seed, which is the most important thing. So Roby, I mean, that's really the one injury besides Cam Jurgens, because Cam Jurgens is definitely very important for this offensive line. How much success we do at the run game and the way we move, because Jurgens is actually it's very besides Opeta and having Tyler Steen in there, Cam Jurgens is one of the most dependable, especially most athletic guard that we have right now, and he is sorely missed, no doubt. And we'll see what happens, but Roby coming back. If I see this secondary still get burned nonstop, even after this game, if they're getting burned every single play, we can't even contest a catch. We got we have a problem as it is right now. Like as is, we have a huge problem, and it's the coaching. I mean, it is. Like I put so much into the players. I feel like we're saying the same things every week. Okay, because personally, this is just me. I know it's not going to change because this is what it is. Okay, the front office. Apparently, Nick Sirianni wanted the same scheme that we used last year. So did they actually find the best defensive coordinator, or did they find the coordinator that was best fit for what Nick wanted to do? I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of, you obviously want to know what your new defensive coordinator is going to do, okay, what his plan is with the defense, okay? But because of why Nick Sirianni wants this defense, or not just letting a defensive coordinator come in and let him run the defense how he runs or as he sees it fit, is a big problem to me. I don't know. I don't really like it. I don't like this defense at all. I don't like, these defenses just don't last. I don't know how can you win a championship with an off-ball defense like this, really? It's already enough they're not blitzing enough. They're not doing enough, not even close to enough, okay? Some of these players are starting to deteriorate because of this scheme, and I'm wondering if some of these players are actually starting to kind of get sick of what's going on with this team, or just what they're doing with the secondary, and how we're just sitting there, and why you're pointing at players mid-play. You're pointing at players mid-play when guys run by you. The communication is probably the number one thing that's when you set a defense up, the communication's got to be key. Number one, it's keeping your secondary consistent where you're not switching guys out every single week. New player in, new guys out, new player. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's on injuries and guys coming in and out of the defense all year. I think communication's been a big part, and it's been like a big failure this year. Eagles are 8-1, and we're complaining, but we've been clawing through a lot of games. We've been very resilient. We've been fighting, and that's all that matters. But, we're putting too much pressure on ourselves here. We're making it a lot harder for us with this style of play. And, if this is why Nick likes a defense like this, because he said, oh, you know what? We got to a Super Bowl with that defense, but you had a different roster last year, okay? You had players bailing out your defensive coordinator last year. Okay, you have players bailing out your defensive coordinator right now. I mean, Josh Sweat is leading fourth quarter sacks in the whole league, and has 50 pressures for the year. I mean, that's a crazy stat. And Hassan Reddick is playing very well. You have two guys with 6.5 sacks on the defensive line. So I don't, when we were promised a physical, we want offenses to feel us. We're going to hit quarterbacks. We're going to, the defensive line is not the issue here. It's the secondary and how these guys are used. Depending on what we're doing when it comes to offenses and what our matchups are and what players are more dangerous. And if a certain offense has two very capable weapons, they'll move their best weapon inside, where this has been our weakness, has been the nickel cornerback spot. It's been that the whole season. So getting Roby back is a big push. It's big. It's great. But does that fix anything? It comes down to the coaching. And if it, makes a big difference. So we'll see what happens. The guy that has the worst luck possible is Dallas Goedert. I mean, just the worst luck. I mean, I don't blame injuries when they are forced upon you. He had the face mask last year in the Washington game. We were 7-0 going into that game. He got hurt like the same time. I just kind of realized that last year and then this year, week 7, almost between week 7 and week 9, he's been pretty much hurt the same exact time. Now Goddard's only missing 4 weeks, which isn't that bad. He'll be back for the next Cowboys game in Dallas, which is pretty good. But at this point, I'm too I don't know. I'm just going into a certain aspect now where you have Dallas Goedert 2 more years left on his contract. So I think he's on contract throughout the 2025 season. Then he's a free agent after 2025. Okay, his cap hit for next year isn't bad. It went from like $6 to like $9.5 million, something like that. So it's not that bad. But it sucks when a guy is hurt at the most crucial time of the season. We have a gauntlet of teams we have to face. We're in a good position right now, and your best tight end is hurt. And we talked in the last video about how the Eagles can compensate for Dallas Goedert's injury. They can use Swift. They can use Julio Jones as a tight end. They could use more Jack Stahl. They could do double time. I mean, they could do a whole bunch of different things. They have more than enough weapons to compensate for Dallas Goedert's injury, and it sucks, man. It sucks that he gets these 2 injuries that were literally forced injuries. These weren't injuries he got. These aren't ACLs. These aren't hamstrings. These are just injuries that, I mean, someone pretty much broke your arm. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're running upfield, someone takes your arm and can't take it. They broke your forearm. They broke Dallas Goedert's forearm because they couldn't take him down, and they tried to grab whatever they could to take him to the ground and make a play. It's unfortunate, but kind of interested to see like what they do with Dallas Goedert not being around. So we'll kind of find that out in the future. And I think when it comes to the second half of the season, God, if I was the offensive coordinator, the amount of plays I would just put in with so many of these running backs. Boston Scott has to be involved. Rashad Penny was only involved in that second half of the Dallas game with those 2 snaps because they want to give, because Hurts, ended up messing up his knee a little bit more. And I think that was really the only reason why they put him in, to give, just another body in there. Rashad Penny is pretty much, begging to get playing time to showcase himself. That'll be another thing to watch out for. When are they going to use Rashad Penny in the second half of the season? Like, will they start using him now going to the second half, and we'll start versus KC? Using Rashad Penny in the red zone is what I want badly. They're not going to do it, but hopefully, they prove me wrong. Boston Scott is just, because of his size, his dimensions, and nobody could catch him. Okay, you roll him out on an outside run. It could be any type of outside run, inside run. He's got great vision, and because of how short his legs are and the amount of time where he could turn on a dime, and make a jump cut, that nobody. He'll always get those yards, and he has physicality he brings with himself too. And I think Boston Scott needs to be heavily involved in this running back core. Don't want to take too much from Swift. I understand you want to protect him and not get him injured, but they have got to rotate all these guys. I mean, Boston Scott needs more opportunity too. I miss Boston Scott. I think he's a big mismatch to a whole entire defense that runs after him. I really do, because his jump cuts and what he could. I mean, his size, how small he is, and the big lower body that he has, where he could drive players for more yards. Like, he is a big mismatch, especially in red zone. And we've used it before, and they just don't. I don't know. I just think it's like you're given like a big science project, and like the teacher gives you every possible source that you could use to help you with the project in a group. You know what I mean? And you just take the shortcut and just don't use these extra opportunities, these extra tools that are given, where you can make it so much easier, especially less pressure off your quarterback. Not getting hurt, Hurts getting hit a lot of times. I mean, there's just so much more you could do. And I feel like BrianJohnson just doesn't know how to do that. I mean, you're at week 9 of this. I mean, week 9 already. And it's just like, the guy just seems like he's just doesn't use everything to his advantage. I mean, Deuce Staley used to just throw in running backs randomly on plays. It wasn't like, all right, Boston Scott has this specific play, he needs to be in on this play. No, it used to be like Deuce Staley used to just throw in running backs randomly. He used to tell one running back to come back, he's throwing another one. Tell another running back to come back on the sideline, put out another running back. Like, that's what he used to do all the time. I actually really liked that. It was just random, and it was just like, man, like, for, Deuce would know the play. Obviously, he would know the offensive play, and then be like, you know what? Come back, come in. Let's put Boston Scott out there. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I like that. Quick substitutions, and we don't really do that at all. And, Kenneth Gainwell had a good game against Dallas. I mean, he had a great game, but just feel like you could do a lot more and would help your red zone a lot more if Rashad Penny or Boston Scott can get it at that point, since they're not going to use Swift in red zone barely. I think they have been starting to use Swift a little bit more in the second half, just a little tiny bit more. But when it comes to BrianJohnson and this offense, it really comes down to situational football on certain downs, which if you're 2nd and 3, if you're 3rd and 3, after an 8-yard run with DeAndre Swift, which I always harp on this because that play was just god-awful garbage, okay? And, you're starting to, now defenses are starting to see where if Swift comes out and Gainwell comes in, between the 20s, it's a pass. Inside the 20s, it could be a run. But between the 20s, it's mostly a passing play, almost 100% of the time when Gainwell comes in. So now defenses are like, okay, we're going to rush like crazy. We're going to blitz, or they can make a change, and catch us off guard. So how long is that going to last? I don't know, but they need to change that up because we're looking way too obvious at times. Miss Boston Scott, by the way. Miss him very, very well. And that's all I got to say about that. And lastly, well, the Cowboys want to be the underdog all season, okay? And now, since these Cowboy fans want attention, they're totally getting it now. They're getting a lot of attention because these guys with these fucking podcasts are the most embarrassing, most childish, most complaining fucking shit I have ever heard, okay? Like, I don't mind players having a voice, but dude, like, this just makes you look like a fucking baby over a loss, sorry. Okay? Micah Parsons and Stephon Gilmore are like on Micah Parsons' podcast. I'll look at A.J. Brown's jersey in the back. Love it, by the way. It just comes to a point where it's just like, man, like, focus on your damn season. Like Big Play Slay. Darius Slay has his podcast that has his own. He makes videos after every Eagles game every single week. And he talks about the game. I don't think he talks about the refs that much. Like, I never see the complaining. The Eagles have gotten screwed on penalties so much this year. There has been a lot of games where we got some bad penalties this year. I have never made a video afterwards talking about the refs the whole entire video. Every single team has opportunities, bro. The Eagles punt to the 14, okay? The Eagles gave them literally penalty after 3-4 penalties. What, the PI and Bradbury, the roughing the pass. I mean, they were from the 14 to the 50 to the 50 to the 25, the 25 to the 11, the 11 to the 6. Every opportunity. But that's been Dallas's downfall. Everyone thinking is like, oh, well, if we had Zeke, who knows if they would have had Zeke? Who knows if they would have ran it 4 times? Nobody knows. You can't tell the future. If the Cowboys got the ball back, they would have won. It's all speculation. Like, it doesn't mean they would have won the game. I thought honestly after that we punted on 4th and 3 after we threw that stupid ball to A.J. Brown for out of bounds. After we punted a really nice punt down to the 14-yard line, I thought we were going to lose that game, no doubt. I said I have no trust in this defense kind of keeping their composure. I had no trust in it whatsoever. And then we just took our ground. But the Cowboys had 3 penalties going back. I'm not even going to talk about it. Like, it's a waste of time. Like, I'm already over this game. These players are not even over this game. So how much like, how good are they going to feel if they beat the Giants on Sunday and the Panthers? Talk about the Eagles having a cupcake schedule. Last year, you got to the Super Bowl because of a cupcake schedule. They lose to the Eagles. Now they have a nice little cupcake 2-game run against the Giants and the Panthers. Should make them feel, how much are they going to feel better about themselves at that point? The Cowboys haven't beat a good team. The Cowboys have not beat a good team this year. Not yet. Not one. And to go on a podcast and bring in this other fucking asshole that's sitting next to him and to talk about, like, the refs, there's got to be more eyes on the field, man. I don't know if they're just not seeing it or what's going on, but this is ridiculous. I mean, it's just like, dude, like, it's done. It's over with. Like, what difference is this podcast going to make talking about the refs the whole entire time? Like even the other podcasts he had saying like, "Oh, we felt like we won the game." Like they felt like they were happy to lose the fucking game. Like they were actually happy to lose the game. Like it didn't even matter like if they lost against the Eagles, the division rival. Like they felt like it was the win. Oh, we know that we're good, you know? It's just like, dude, but you lost. You lost. You lose a game, you lose a game. That's how it goes. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, it doesn't matter. Every team has an opportunity. Dallas acts like they didn't make any mistakes in that game at all. They couldn't get the ball in the end zone, period, in the last quarter. Okay? Couldn't get the ball in the end zone. They got down to the 6-yard line and still couldn't score. I thought we lost the damn game. I thought we did. They got moved back 3 penalties. They got sacked a couple times, and they fell apart after that. That was it. So I just think it's funny, dude. I see these clips. I'm just like, dude, like they're actually going on a podcast, and they're like, as professional athletes talking about a rival game, not even talking about the rivals, but talking about the referees and what needs to be fixed. It's like, dude, you know, like all of us fans, like, do you know how many times they miss a holding call on the offensive line? Do you know how many times they miss holding calls? They miss holding calls every game. They can't look at everything. Okay, guys get held all the time. Dallas needs to worry about the opportunities that they couldn't get the ball into the end zone. Sorry, but they had opportunities, multiple opportunities. The Eagles gave you the ball 2 times, and they did nothing with it. With penalties against us, it went both ways. And it's just babyish bullshit every single week. Making yourself and your team look stupid every single week. The Dallas fans are getting no satisfaction beating the Giants and Danny DeVito, whatever his friggin' name is. Okay? They're going to overlook all these teams, hopefully not lose because that will be embarrassing. And then they can't wait till they face the Eagles in their house. Oh, wait till you come to our house. You know, the same old shit that you hear every year. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say. That's the news for the day. Let me know what you guys think about Bradley Roby coming back. How much does that make a big difference? Will the coordinators get things right? The run game. Do you like how Nick likes this defense, that he's in control of, I need a defense like this, like Gannon had? Him being in control of, you know, maybe the hiring process maybe was favored by that scheme that we played defensively. So be interesting. But I know it was a long video, but to tie you guys over, I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks up, Fall Slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.